President Obama claims he is a tax cutter. Has he found his campaign mantra? I'm Alan Barton. Stand by for Front Page.
Your taxes today, the average middle-class family, your taxes today are lower than when I took office. Just remember that. We have cut taxes for small businesses, not once, not twice, but 17 times. The average family's tax burden is among the lowest it's been in the last 60 years.
All right, joining me in studio is Don Watkins of the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights and Terry Jones, Associate Editor for Investors Business Daily. Terry, is he telling the truth? 17 reductions in the, wow. That's like every couple of months they're going out there and reducing taxes for small business.
And that's why our economy's rocking right now. It's Obama the tax cutter. And if he's a tax cutter, I'm a power forward in the NBA.
Hey,
I mean,
I've seen you with a couple moves on the basketball court.
Yeah.
So what's he talking about then?
Well, you know.
What's he trying to say? Is there any even like, is there a fig leaf there?
Well, there's a fig leaf. You know, he signed off on a cut in the payroll tax, but that's a temporary cut. He's signed off on some short-term cuts in taxes for, tax breaks for various people. But overall, no, he's not a tax cutter. He's not a tax cutter at all. And in fact, all of his proposals are laden with new taxes. And the biggest tax of all, perhaps, is Obamacare, which is going to tax all of us, and quite heavily over the next 10 years if it goes into effect.
Don, what do you think of what he's saying there? I mean, one thing I wanted to say was like, okay, well, let's take everything that you say, Mr. President, as being true. Then you did so at the expense of a $5 trillion debt increase. So there seems to be context there, even if you take every word as true. But how do you square what he's saying with his constant going after the rich for more taxes on the rich?
Oh, well, that's really easy.
Because if cutting taxes was good, why isn't it good to cut taxes on the rich as well?
I mean, that's really easy. This is all part and parcel of, in order to raise taxes on the rich, he has to be in office. And he ran the first time disguising his real leftist ideology, and he's trying to do that again. I think it would be very doubtful that he'll succeed now that he actually has a record to run on. And the fact is that people know that they are not doing as well as they were when 4 years ago, and certainly not as well as they should be doing if the economy was a lot freer than it is today.
All right, a recent study produced by the World Bank and Price Waterhouse Coopers. Is it only 3 names now? Price Waterhouse Coopers? Oh, there's like Price Waterhouse Coopers, Lybrand, all of them. Anyway, analyzes tax policy around the world. In terms of the ease in paying taxes, the U.S. comes in at number 69. When it comes to tax rates, the U.S. ranks an abysmal 131st. All right, so Terry, how do the authors come to these conclusions? Do you think it's a straight-up report? Or?
Oh, absolutely. It's a completely legitimate report, and they do it all the time. Yeah, what they did is they basically take the tax rate as a share of commercial profits and say this is what your tax rate is, and the U.S. comes out at close to 47%. That's not good. I mean, that means the government is taking half of everything that the private sector earns. That's a terrible and really disgraceful number, in my opinion.
Don, I mean, if you look at, a lot of the Eastern European economies in particular have moved to like much more sane flat tax systems, and et cetera. Do you think that the world is eventually going to outcompete the United States in terms of their tax policy, if not their productivity of their citizens?
Yeah, I mean, the tax policy certainly is not going to be too hard to compete against us on. I mean, the thing is that it's the overall picture. How does the combination of taxes, government spending, and government regulation play out in the economy? And certainly on taxes we're bad, on regulation we're god-awful, and on general spending, I mean, we are having a tsunami of debt. So is the United States going to be an economic leader? I think a lot of what's going on is we're coasting on the fact that for a long time we were the freest, best economy, and there's still a lot of that left, but for how long with this trend, you can't say.
All right, Senator Harry Reid, always our favorite, is back criticizing Republicans for allowing the payroll tax cuts to expire. Now, stand by, because Mr. Reid is an extremely charismatic speaker. You may want to step back from your computer and just get ready, because just get ready. Let's take a look.
So why would Republicans throw 92% of American families under the bus? Yet legislation will cut taxes for 92% of American families, and every single business in the nation, without adding a penny to deficit, may not get a single Republican vote because it would cost a few incredibly prosperous, rich Americans about 2 weeks of pay.
It's exciting, isn't it? Every time the man speaks, it's just an excitement waiting to happen. It's a thrill. Your pulse rate just starts to go. All right, Terry, tell us what's going on with these payroll tax, this whole argument that's happening in the Senate, which is not really about job growth. It's not about anything. It's about politics and presenting the 2012 campaign. It did not pass the Senate, which last time I checked, controlled by Democrats.
Yeah, that it's really political positioning. On the way to 2012, they're not serious at all. They're not serious about making cuts in spending. They're not serious about getting the economy going. Look, payroll tax cuts are not going to. I got news for everyone. They're not going to spur the economy on to bigger and better things.
They haven't already. There's already. This is the extension of an existing tax cut that didn't do much. But of course, the argument is, but imagine if we hadn't cut it. It would be so much worse.
Yeah, we could be in a nightmare right now.
Yeah.
No, and as a matter of fact, if they hadn't done any of these interventions, chances are good we'd be in the midst of a rolling boom right now, had Obama not been elected.
Well, it just seems, and Don, you can come into it. Just seems as though it's haphazard. Every 2 months, it seems, there's a new proposal. We'll cut the payroll tax, but we'll cut it for businesses too, and for individuals, and then we'll have a bunch of rich people pay for it, but it'll take 7 years to pay for that with the rich people, but the rich people are also going to be taxed in 2013 because of Obamacare and a bunch of other things. But that's okay, because we'll, and maybe that's where Terry means by, like, if they would just go away.
Yeah.
We could do so much better than this constant, from both sides.
Well, look, this is the nature of a mixed economy. A mixed economy is a mixture of capitalism and government intervention, and ultimately of socialism and fascism. And what it means is that you have no principles, which means you have no policy, you have no coherent set of goals. And so all it is pressure group warfare, where everybody tries to grab their favorite law or regulation of the moment. And so that's the kind of thing that's going on. And so certainly, if there was a sensible policy, that would be much better. But ultimately, having a sensible policy is inconsistent with the idea that what we need is this kind of gang warfare over government force.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. For Don and Terry, I'm Alan Barton. You've been watching Front Page.